Hi, welcome to Says TV. My name is Belinda, and this is what is blood. And what is blood is, I try to do stuff like this to help the younger people that are on here that are being misinformed and talked bad to about certain adult topics. Those type of things happen when you have people that's after money and don't know no better. They get on here saying all kinds of nasty and dirty stuff because that's how they are. They don't know anything about being honest and being truthful. You know that their work is in their pocket. So I want to talk to you guys about STDs, and I want to talk to you guys about menstrual. Now, one thing about a menstrual cycle is it is not always about uh, um, it's a cycle for a woman. It's not mainly about talking about tampons and those type of things. Those are very personal matters. And I felt my duty to come on here and give you guys some positive stuff and give you some of the good things about this and how this is in a woman's life. And then we're going to talk about some STDs. I don't know if I got that printed up. So I took the liberty. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna talk a little something about it. I just want to make it complete for you, okay? I want to make sure that you know some of the common types, okay? Now, I'm not just talking about this because I care about esoteric. I know there's a lot of young people on here, and I know they're crazy enough to spend their money anywhere. But one thing about me is when I hear stuff, I try to correct it because I have children myself. I don't have girls. I have little boys. I have sons. So if you have make sure you're seeing what your daughters and your sons are watching. One thing I wouldn't do is I would not advise anyone to watch esoteric under 30 years old unless they're already gifted. While we're talking about ministration, usually girls get their gifts when they're 12 years old, along with the administration. That's another positive things that people aren't teaching on here. Some that happens in a lot of intuitive little girls' lives. So let's talk about that. So I took the liberty of printing up some recommended products. Now I went into Google and I typed it up. Please give me some of the best tampons in 2018. And they came up with Always, and it Always is a known brand with women. I use Always. I don't have a cycle as long as I used to, but I use Always. Now, they recommend this for young girls. They recommend the Always Sheer Daily Liners. It's 4 stars. The Always Infinity size 1 regular pads with wings unscented. And when it talks about wings, it talks about those side wings that go on both sides of the panty to keep the blood from getting into the panty. You can get it scented or unscented. I would go with unscented because of how you walk, how you move around. Some women sweat. So all women don't shave. All women don't shave down there. I would not get a scented pad unless you are an active woman and that's just your thing. But they have those in scented, and they have the different sizes. And Always Radiant Teen Pads, and you get real, regular, unscented. All these products have 4 stars. Now, let's talk about blood flow. They have the numbers on it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody knows that the number 5 pads, if you're a woman, you know this. The number 5 pad is the heaviest flow. A lot of women wear those overnight, and a lot of women have a heavy flow, and they wear those on a daily. And the reason they wear them on a daily is because, like I said, a heavy flow. Some women bleed heavier than others. So the pad can come all the way up to the front and from the back all the way up to the back, so it can protect any angles. Some girls are on the go a lot. Maybe they can't get to every 20-minute pamper change. Let's just say a pamper change. So what they'll do is they'll get a heavier pad that'll take a little bit more flow, and then they may decide to do a pamper change every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes, every hour. So that's how that goes. So let's talk about the direct things of the menstrual phases. If you get a chance, you can find the same printout so you can find the same correct information. Just type in your menstrual cycle phases. And let's do a little talking here. If you take a look, this you can't even see. I'm not going to even do it, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. So it says, always comes up with this beautiful platform to talk about your menstrual cycle phases. And it says your menstrual cycle phases are an important part of your life. Find out what's going on each stage of your cycle so you know what to expect. Now, this is the phase of it. The menstrual phase is part commonly referred to as your period. The official start of your cycle is the first day of your menstrual phase, the first day of your period. Okay, you may be thinking, where's this stuff coming from? Menstrual blood is shed from the lining of your uterus. Now, if you look here, and you look, the uterus is up there. That's where it comes from. The lining of the uterus. Okay, it goes from uterus through your cervix. I wish I can show you this, the track of it. It goes from your uterus through your cervix, vagina, and out through your vaginal opening. So if you take a look at this, it may be opposite, but it goes in flow. And that's how it gets into the tampon or the pad, the flow. Okay? A period usually lasts about 3 to 7 days. It depends because the older you get, the less the period, the less the menstrual cycle comes. Okay? It may seem like more, but the average amount of menstrual flow for your entire period is about a quarter of a cup. I believe that. Okay, so let's talk about the follicular phase. This phase is about your body preparing for pregnancy each month. It starts with your estrogen hormone telling the lining of your uterus to thicken and develop to prepare for a fertilized egg. So, you girls walking around here talking about you can't get pregnant on your cycle. The devil is a lie. It can happen. You just heard what it said. Your body prepares you for pregnancy. So anytime before that you're having unprotected sex, yes, you can get pregnant while you're on your cycle because you're already in the phase. The estrogen hormone is already lining your uterus. So yes, you can get pregnant. At the same time, hormones known as the follicle stimulating hormone, the FSH, stimulates your ovarian follicles to grow. Each follicle contains an egg. Usually one egg will get totally ready for fertilization each month. Your estrogen levels rise dramatically during the days before ovulation and peak about 1 day before the next phase starts. Boom, you can get pregnant in the follicular phase. If you have a regular 28-day menstrual cycle, ovulation usually occurs on day 14. Okay? So let's talk about the ovulation phase. Okay, the ovulation phase. This surge in estrogen triggers a spike in a third hormone. It makes a follicle rupture and release an egg. If you have a regular 28-day menstrual cycle, ovulation occurs on the 14th day. However, most women have different menstrual cycle lengths. In general, ovulation happens 11 to 16 days before your upcoming period. Ovulation is what it's called. Ovulation is what it's called when one of the ovaries releases a mature egg. The egg travels out of the ovary into the nearest fallopian tube and into your uterus. As the egg moves down the fallopian tube over several days, the lining of your uterus becomes thicker and thicker. It takes about 3 to 4 days for the egg to travel towards the uterus. From there, an egg waits for 24 hours in hopes of being fertilized before it starts degenerating. Okay? So, the luteal The luteal phase is this right here. And that's after the ovulation. The luteal phase begins. The empty follicle turns into a corpus luteum. The cells of the corpus luteum produce estrogen and large amounts of progesterone. Progesterone stimulates your urine lining to prepare for a fertilized egg. Now, here's two big things that can happen. If you become pregnant, the egg moves into your uterus and attached to the lining. If you're not pregnant, the lining of the uterus is shared to the vaginal opening. Your period starts, a new menstrual cycle begins. So that's just about the book sense of how the menstrual cycle goes. Okay? The earliest age you can start your menstrual cycle is 12 years old. Okay? Some of the things that you can use for cramping is ibuprofen, Advil, Motrin, Midol, ketoprofen. You can use that for instance. Naproxen is for instant, a leave. So if you want instant, you would go for the naproxen or the ibuprofen. Those are pretty much so accurate for fast relief. Now, the abnormal uterine bleeding is when you bleed between periods, bleeding after sex, spotting anytime in the menstrual cycle, bleeding heavier for more days than normal, and bleeding after menopause. Now, these are abnormal uterine bleeding. Check with your doctor if you are seeing any of these symptoms in your personal life. So let's talk about the abnormal bleeding. It has many causes. It has many causes, especially in teens and women nearing menopause. You have hormonal changes that can cause long periods, along with irregular cycles. Even if this is the case, you may be able to get treatment. Any changes can help it, or any changes can help in your health. Now, the earliest age is 12. That don't mean they all the same. Sometimes a girl can start at 8. Some can start at 15. Some people start 2 years after when their breast start to develop. If a girl has not had her period by 15, or if it has been more than 2 or 3 years since her breast growth started, you should see a doctor. Okay? Okay. Now, usually the women would, okay, how long does women have period? Between 45 and 50, usually around, yeah, 45 and 55, menopause start. It's over. Now, we won't get into that yet because certain people are listening here. So, when should I see my doctor about my cycle, my period? If you haven't started by 15, if it stops for 90 days, you have irregular, like myself, I'm very irregular. If you are bleeding more than 7 days, if you are bleeding more heavily than usual, or using more than one pad or tampon every 1 to 2 hours, and you bleed between periods, and that probably will come under the case of not changing the tampon. How often should I change my tampon? You should change your tampon at least every 4 to 8 hours. That's what you should do. Okay. So, some of the negatives of not changing your tampon. Uh, so they have something on here called TSS, and TSS is toxic shock syndrome. It is a rare but sometimes deadly disease. TSS is caused by bacteria that can cause toxins. If your body can't fight the toxins, your immune system reacts and causes the symptoms of TSS. And that's young women may be more likely to get TSS because tampons put you in a higher risk. The FDA recommends the following tips to help avoid tampon problems. Don't use tampons between periods. Know the warning signs of TSS. You want to switch from pads to tampons, 4 to 8 hours. Choose the lowest absorbency for your flow. Follow package directions for absorption. They talked about some of the negatives, which they look gross to me. That did it. So that just gives you a little something about tampon. You can talk to your daughters about that. I promised I would do something, so I did a little something. I wish I could go into more detail, but we're on the run, girl. Let's talk STDs. People were talking about some readers. I was hearing that some readers were talking about some of their clients, mates, or partners encountering STDs. Now, one thing you want to talk about before you even get into STDs is you want to refer your people to their doctor. If you or a friend of a friend of a roommate has a sexually transmitted disease, go to your nearest emergency room, doctor, or Planned Parenthood if they are open. Have them check you out, do a blood test, and get you fixed. It's as easy as that. Okay? Now, if you get to a point to where you're not getting it fixed and somebody get it from you, they can report you to the county. And they'll come to your house and come make you take a test and get you cleaned. Now, we wouldn't want that to happen while your mama at the table now, would we? So here's some of the common, this, okay, the sexually transmitted diseases, this is what it is. It's an infection transmitted through sexual contact caused by bacteria, viruses, or parasites. An infection that causes warts in various parts of the body depending on the strain. That's the human papillomavirus infection. The genital herpes is a common sexually transmitted infection marked by genital pain and sores. Chlamydia, a common sexually transmitted infection that may not cause symptoms. Why? Because it lays dormant in women. A woman could have chlamydia forever and not even know it until the certain man comes to have sex with her. Then he go have sex with unprotected sex with different partners, and everybody got it, but can't nobody figure out who gave it to him because the original person, it was lying dormant in their blood. Okay, gonorrhea comes from untreated, and you got to watch gonorrhea because if you carry that gonorrhea too long, you cannot have children. HIV and AIDS, syphilis. Syphilis is an infection usually spread by sexual contact that starts as a painless sore. Okay, so those are some little things. Get a chance, go into your Google box and type in HIV, type in chlamydia, type in the STD test express. You know what are curable, what's not curable. One reason STD spreads because people think they can only be infected if they have sexual intercourse. That's wrong. A person can get some STDs like herpes or genital warts through skin-to-skin contact with an infected area or sore. Another myth about STDs is that you can get it from oral sex or anal sex. hmm When symptoms do appear, it says how long does it take to show up for an STD. When symptoms do appear, they may show up as early as 2 days after exposure or as long as a month. Syphilis, the chance characteristic of the first stage of syphilis appears on average 21 days after infection, but may appear anytime between 10 to 90 days after exposure to the bacterium. Look some of these people up. Can you get an STD if you and your partner are both virgins? If two people who do not have any STDs have sex, then it's not possible for either of you to get one. But just because someone says they're a virgin doesn't necessarily mean they have an STD. STDs are not only passed through genital to genital contact. Unprotected oral sex can lead to STDs. I think so. Of course, they were trying to be funny. Okay. Now, I want to give you signs and symptoms of gonorrhea. Now, we just talked about gonorrhea being able to carry that in a woman's body over 90 days can cause issues with conceiving a child. Let's give you some. I'm going to tell you what it looked like. Thick, clotted, or bloody discharge from the penis or vagina. Pain or burning sensation when urinating. Heavy menstrual bleeding or bleeding between periods. Painful swollen testicles. Painful bladder movements and anal itching. Your ass is itching. Yo. So that's gonorrhea. Shout out to your mind. Make sure that you are getting tested before you letting these girls or these boys lick, stick, and dick you. Make sure that you do carry condoms. Make sure that you, if you are a parent and you have sons or daughters over the age of 10, because baby, they giving it up at 10, that you have condoms in the house. That you have a responsible parent like yourself or your husband or your mate. You guys have a family night, go out to dinner, or mom, you cook dinner and you guys talk about not sex, what not to do, what you don't want to allow, what you want to prevent. So you want to get into those techniques with your families, especially with your little girls and your little boys. Make sure you preach about condoms. Make sure you preach about not being tempted into not using protection. Make sure that any needles are used for medical use. And if you're getting into popping the arms and heroin and all that, those are other diseases that you can get. You can get that stuff through that too. You have to be very mindful of your environment. Please make sure you're watching what your children are looking at on YouTube. Some of their minds are being twisted by making them think. Some of these people are making young people think they are readers when they are not. That there are spirits haunting them. Talking about unnecessary stuff over here. This is a place where we talk about positive things and we inspire people because we are spiritualists. We are not holy. Let's get that clear. It can be obtained through transition to a powerful source. But at the same time, you want to be in enlightenment with your people. It's nothing worse than hearing in a genre that you're working that people are talking about menstrual periods and blood and partners having STD and around her. I don't think that the people meant it to be like that. I think they're trying to gain access. They're trying to reach their clients and they're doing a bad job of it. So, people gonna always want to tell me the tea. I don't care if you get upset. I bust you holes in the nose and I keep it pushing. Just remember, this video may keep you on YouTube another 6 months. You never get on here talking about things like that. That's not this type of genre. If you want to talk about those things, you write pamphlets. You inform your people. Make it informative versus being ghetto and messy or just being what is that word? They flamboyant.